Just dive into some random folks. Status quo, Jordan Sheridan. What does he got to say?
You take off for a week, and Jimmy Dore is the #1 trender on Twitter. Jimmy Dore is the #1 thing trending. He's getting in fights with every goddamn person on the earth. David Sirota's involved. AOC's involved. Katie Alper. I mean, I couldn't keep up. Jimmy Dore, I guess you could say has a little bombast from time to time. I don't agree with him on everything. I've had private conversations with him when I tell him I think he's going too far.
I remember a conversation. Jimmy Dore had Jordan Sheridan on his show when he was on TYT, when everybody was on TYT, and he was just a dick. Jimmy Dore's trying to talk to him, but Jordan, I guess he needs to be taken serious, right? He's a serious person, a serious journalist, and this is Jimmy Dore, and he wasn't going to let Jimmy Dore push him around, and so he was just this overly serious dick, and then, kind of depressed the whole show, and Jimmy was trying to be respectful, and all right, I guess I'll be as serious as you're being, and, it was awful, it was terrible. So I don't think Jordan actually has any respect for Jimmy Dore. I think he uses him for his channel or whatever, but he's grifting on the right side, okay? So he's a weirdo. He's a creepy creep. Jordan Sheridan is a weirdo, but he's going to eventually say he's on the right side. But right now, he's sitting there saying, what, about Jimmy Dore?
I told him I think you're going too far.
Yeah, so he's talking about how privately he'll call Jimmy Dore up and say, hey, you've gone too far. So, oh man, if you want, anybody to talk to Jimmy, Jordan's got the back, channel access. So, he'll straighten Jimmy out for you. He'll handle Jimmy for you. And he's going to say that he went too far on Bernie or whatever, still goes too far on Bernie. So it's not like his, back access, back channel access to do anything.
Calling Bernie a coward, sellout, all these things, because I do think he went too far on that regard. And I think that Jimmy, also, whether it's Jimmy, me, or anybody else, it's really goddamn easy to be a YouTube person ranting. It's a lot harder to be an elected official. That doesn't mean we shouldn't challenge elected officials.
It kind of sounds like that's the direction you're going. It's so easy being, a Jordan Sheridan asshole. It's so easy just being a Jordan Sheridan asshole on the internet. It's just so easy to do it. And it is kind of easy, but it's kind of not. I feel like it takes practice. You got to know, your stuff and whatever.
That doesn't mean we shouldn't call out progressives when they're wrong. Okay? But let's just say it's easier to be on YouTube ranting and saying, this is obvious, this is common sense, when, you're not an elected official.
Oof. That's tough to hear. That's tough to listen to. So, glad to have you on board, Jordan Sheridan. Let's hear what Emma Vigilant and Sam Seder. Sam Seder's been going ape shit on Jimmy Dore, I think, since he was 5 years old. Sam Seder, I guess Jimmy Dore's, made fun of his mother when he was real young and humiliated him, and he just hated Jimmy ever since, and he's just been, banking on his hatred. This beefing, this intramural beefing is good for ratings. So actually, if Sam and Jimmy, if they're on their game, they debated once. I think they should debate again.
It's not like he has a background in political theory or organizing or, frankly, any politics.
This is No Me Key. No Me Key is sitting there saying, well, Jimmy Dore isn't, an elitist PhD Harvard grad asshole. He doesn't have the credentials from the oligarchical, educational, structural. He doesn't have...
It is literally
He just doesn't read. He doesn't read anything. It's
right.
Honestly,
it's emotion.
You don't need to have any of that background. You can just go and...
That is just bullshit. Talk about, fucking kindergarten shit. Emma Vigilant, Sam Seder says that Jimmy Dore can't read. that he's illiterate, okay, that he doesn't read, he only watches it on TV. No, I've seen Jimmy Dore make a joke about telling the Republicans they need to start reading, and it's better to read if you breathe out of your nose. The shit that he talks about, he has to read the damn thing. Get the fuck out of here.
There's a lot of stuff you can read online
100%.
to educate yourself.
So there's one thing and the people, frankly, who echo it, I'm disappointed in, not because we don't all agree that we should pressure, as Sorota's take is, pressure certain lawmakers to push Medicare for all forward. What happens, power structure-wise, and this is one of my concern right now, is we don't have actual movement leaders out there, like real movement directing the left. And so what happens is he's sucking up that void. Like
David Sirota, I'm very disappointed with David Sirota. I always liked his stuff and liked his work. And I remember I tweeted one time randomly just to get some attention, "You think you knew everything," or some shit like that. And he just, it was a slow news day apparently, and he responded to me and he said, "No, I don't. I really don't think I know everything." And I was like, "Oh, touche, my friend, touche." I thought that was a fantastic, response. It seemed like he was more conversational. He's more open to, the conversation. He's open to the dialogue. And, let's see.
He's taking over that void and preying on people's vulnerabilities right now. People are angry and they're concerned and they don't know where to channel their energy, partly because institutions have been dismantled on the left. Unions are very weak. And it's hard to get into the nuance because so many of us have not been in the halls of Congress and in power, so it's hard for us to navigate how power structures work. So he's actually preying on people, and people who are encouraging his behavior and echoing it.
He's not preying on my behavior. He is saying exactly what I think at the time, when we can do something about this. He's not preying on anybody. He's simplifying the issue. The issue is, he cut the issue very simple, and that's perfect. That's, politics 101 too. So Jimmy Dore's talking about using our power, using our leverage. Rosa Parks says that if we don't fail unless we don't try. If we don't try, that's when we fail.
With all due respect, might be playing the same game, and we might agree with him on 85% of the issues. Yeah. But this is a clickbait game. This is about fame. They're hosts on
Talk about a clickbait game. Emma Vigilant and Sam Seder are a bunch of clickbaiters. 72% want universal health care. That's a Fox News poll. Fox News is sitting there doing information about universal health care. Does Sam Seder and Emma Vigilant talk about anything else besides Jimmy Dore? Is it just all day Jimmy Dore? Just, God, I can't believe he said this. I can't believe he said that.
On air who want to make change. I think all of us are really concerned about educating our audience and bringing on informed people to help us understand everything, the issues and how to move through and push for these changes. And then there are hosts who want to be multimillionaires and famous. And, let's just make those...
Hello? Can anybody hear me?
There's better days ahead.
Don't worry.
Dangerous being prophets during times of upheaval.
Soon he'll destroy all.
Sorry, that
line's very clear.
Was like a good show.
And not to mention, he has taken money admitted to taking money from pro-Assad groups. So he's not the pure guy that he wants to pretend. And I like Jimmy.
He has a problem with those pro-Assad groups, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't.
Neither does Tulsi. But that's the.
Hey, Emma from the top ropes. Fuck you, Tulsi Gabbard.
Your audience means you're technically not pure.
Talk about clickbait, YouTube, and assholes off to the side that don't mean nothing and don't say nothing, not doing nothing about a movement, not being smart about organizing, not yielding their power, not putting pressure on the politicians.
Lincoln, get it right. Lincoln. But aside from that, I think the other thing that we have to be concerned about is, okay, so how do we affect change? How do we get Medicare for all on the table? Embarrassing rather than pressuring, because he wasn't pressuring, he was embarrassing.
Well, that's my point. That, look, I think that there is, I mean, on some level, I've always been thinking about
There's a right way to do this.
On some level, I'm like, I think
Sam Seder sounded like the Republicans on Colin Kaepernick. You can protest, just not like that. I swear to God, if Sam Seder starts saying that Jimmy Dore is, hurting the troops.
I think there is value in his making a racket to a certain extent, because I think there is an element where, you know, let's say the squad or whomever we're talking about in terms of progressives, I think it's good for them to feel the pressure. I think it's also good for the leadership to see that they're getting pressure from their people, because, like, on some level, right, these are their constituencies, and politicians know, like, if your constituencies are starting to act up, you're going to come to me for an ask, and that means I'm going to have to deliver because these people's backs are against the wall. So I think that to a certain extent, you know, like, I haven't sort of weighed in on the whole Twitter thing so much, on Twitter itself, you know, because I also think, like, I think this is...
You have a million people following you, that's why.
No.
You can just go on air and make the argument.
Well, no, but I'll make the argument here, but I think that it's like, in some weird way, Twitter is in some ways more public, in some ways than the show here, because the show is, like, you know, limited. There'll be maybe 70, 80, 100,000 people who watch the show, but on Twitter, it can go to journalists who then create the conventional wisdom more, and so, I mean, I think, like, that's... I don't have a problem, but again, I think it's in bad faith, and I think, like, it's a problem if people fall down the road. I want to play just this segment from Katie Halper's show, because here is the way Dore reacts to any type of nuance here. And look, in the original semi-endorsement I had of his idea, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I don't know if asking for a vote on Medicare for all is really the thing you want to ask for. There may be other things, like committee, like functional things, right? Like things that actually do something. Like
$1,200 immediately, like a relief package for people who are getting evicted. Let's talk about the priorities.
$2,000 per month.
Like, Rhoda's laying out.
Police brutality.
But I also think that, like, just are more like things that start to build your structural power. I mean, if you're talking about leveraging a vote to give power to Nancy Pelosi, it's like, okay, let's get some committee, you know, let's get rid of, this is a big ask, it's not going to happen, seniority with committee chairs, for instance, or something.
Sam motherfucking Seder's got issues. He's got some pathological issues. Anyways, David Soroto, he blocked me on Twitter. I didn't even say anything on Twitter. I posted a video about something, and I tagged him, or I asked a question, and I just said, I think you should go on Jimmy Dore's show, and Jimmy Dore should just listen to you. Just for an hour, he just listen, and you explain, and you just talk your game, and you say what you want to say, and Jimmy just listen. That was too much for David Soroto. He's like, what? Who in the hell is this motherfucker to suggest to me, Soroto, anything? So, yeah, David Soroto coming up. Peace.